Mia, remember that Japanese restaurant we went to last weekend? The one with the sushi and all those cool dishes?
Yeah, Dad. That place was awesome. I loved the sushi, especially the one with the avocado and salmon. It was so fresh and tasty. But you said there's more to Japanese food than just sushi, right?
Absolutely. Japanese cuisine, or washoku, is full of variety and has a lot of history and culture behind it. It's not just about sushi, even though sushi is quite popular worldwide. Let's talk about some of the other types of Japanese food and what makes them unique. But since you mentioned sushi, why don't we dive into that a bit more first?
Sounds good. I really liked all the different types of sushi we tried. What's the difference between them?
Great question, Mia. Sushi comes in many forms, each with its own unique preparation and presentation. The type of sushi you had with the avocado and salmon is called nigiri. Nigiri sushi is made with a small ball of vinegared rice topped with a slice of raw fish or other ingredients. It's one of the most common types of sushi.
Oh, I remember that one. The fish was just placed on top of the rice, right?
Exactly. Then there's maki, which is the kind of sushi where the ingredients are rolled up in seaweed with rice and then sliced into bite-sized pieces. You might have tried futomaki, which are the thicker rolls with a variety of fillings, or hosomaki, the thinner rolls usually with just one filling like cucumber or tuna.
Yeah, I remember trying both. I liked the futomaki because it had so many different things in it. What about the sushi that was wrapped in a little cone?
That's called tamaki. It's a hand-rolled sushi where the seaweed is wrapped into a cone shape and filled with rice, vegetables, and seafood. It's like a sushi roll but easier to eat with your hands.
Tamaki was fun to eat. What about that sushi with the rice on the outside and seaweed on the inside?
That's called uramaki, or inside-out roll. It's quite popular in the West. In uramaki, the rice is on the outside of the seaweed, often with sesame seeds or fish roe sprinkled on it for added flavor and texture. A famous example of uramaki is the California roll, which is usually filled with avocado, cucumber, and imitation crab meat.
Oh, I've heard of the California roll. So sushi isn't just raw fish then?
Correct. While many types of sushi feature raw fish, not all of them do. Some sushi uses cooked ingredients like anago, grilled sea eel, or tamago, sweet omelet. The key to sushi is the vinegared rice, which is what the word sushi actually refers to.
That's so interesting. Is there a special way they eat sushi in Japan?
Yes, there are a few customs when eating sushi in Japan. For example, it's polite to eat nigiri sushi with your hands, while sashimi, which is just slices of raw fish without rice, is eaten with chopsticks. Also, you're supposed to dip the fish side into the soy sauce, not the rice, to avoid soaking it too much and changing the flavor.
I didn't know there were so many different types of sushi. Do you think sushi has any connections to other countries?
Absolutely, Mia. The history of sushi actually has some interesting connections to China. The concept of using fermented rice to preserve fish started in China thousands of years ago. This method, called narazushi, eventually made its way to Japan, where it evolved into what we know as sushi today. Over time, the Japanese developed their own methods and styles, which led to the creation of the modern sushi we enjoy.
Wow, I had no idea sushi started in China. That's really cool. Did the Chinese also have something like sushi?
In a way, yes. The original Chinese method was about fermenting fish with rice, but it wasn't eaten the same way sushi is today. The rice was often discarded, and only the fish was eaten. In contrast, the Japanese started eating the rice and fish together, which became a unique culinary practice. This practice spread and evolved, particularly during the Edo period in Japan, when sushi became more like the fast food we know today.
That's amazing how food can change and spread across different countries. Did Japan and China share other foods too?
Definitely. Japan and China have a long history of cultural exchange, especially when it comes to food. For example, ramen, which is a popular Japanese noodle soup, actually has its origins in Chinese noodle dishes. The word ramen itself comes from the Chinese words lamian, meaning pulled noodles.
I love ramen. So it's originally from China?
Yes, that's right. The Japanese adapted the Chinese noodle soup and made it their own, adding unique broths and toppings. Over time, ramen became a staple in Japanese cuisine with many regional variations. Another example is gyoza, the Japanese take on Chinese dumplings. The Japanese version is typically pan-fried and has a slightly different filling than the original Chinese dumplings, but you can see the clear influence.
It's so interesting how foods can change when they move from one place to another. Speaking of which, I really liked the tempura we had. It was so crispy and light. How do they make it like that?
Tempura is quite a unique Japanese dish. It involves coating seafood or vegetables in a light batter and then deep-frying them quickly. The key to making tempura so light and crispy is the batter, which is made with ice-cold water, flour, and sometimes a little egg. The cold temperature of the water helps prevent gluten from forming, which keeps the batter light and prevents it from absorbing too much oil.
That's so clever. It was really tasty. Do they have tempura in other countries?
Tempura, as we know it, is quite distinctively Japanese, but the idea of batter frying is found in other cuisines as well. The technique was actually introduced to Japan by Portuguese missionaries in the 16th century. The Japanese took the concept and refined it into the delicate and light dish we enjoy today.
That's amazing. So even tempura has a bit of history from another country.
Exactly. Food is all about sharing and adapting. Speaking of unique Japanese foods, another one that comes to mind is miso soup. It's a traditional Japanese soup made with a base of dashi, a broth typically made from dried bonito fish flakes and seaweed. The main ingredient, miso paste, is made from fermented soybeans and has been a staple in Japanese diets for centuries.
I remember the miso soup. It was simple but so flavorful. What makes it so special?
Miso soup is special because it embodies the concept of umami, which is known as the fifth taste. Miso paste, made from fermented soybeans, is rich in umami, giving the soup a deep, savory flavor. It's also incredibly versatile and nutritious. The fermentation process enhances the nutritional value of the soybeans, making miso soup a good source of protein, vitamins, and minerals.
That's so interesting. I didn't know it was so healthy. And what about the wasabi we had with the sushi? It was really strong. Why do they eat it with sushi?
Wasabi is a fascinating part of Japanese cuisine. It's a plant that grows naturally in Japan, and the root is grated to make the wasabi paste you're familiar with. Fresh wasabi has a pungent, spicy flavor that quickly fades, and it's known for its ability to clear your sinuses. Traditionally, wasabi is served with sushi and sashimi to enhance the flavor of the fish and add a bit of heat.
I remember the wasabi at the restaurant. It really cleared my nose. But why is it paired with raw fish?
Wasabi has more than just flavor benefits. It has antibacterial properties, which were especially important in the past when refrigeration wasn't available. This helped make raw fish safer to eat. The heat of wasabi also enhances the taste of sushi by adding a sharp contrast to the delicate flavors of the fish and rice.
That's really smart. I had no idea there was so much thought behind it. It's amazing how much culture and history can be in something as simple as food.
It really is, Mia. Japanese cuisine, like many other world cuisines, tells a story of history, culture, and tradition. Each dish has its own unique background and significance, making it more than just something to eat.
Thanks for sharing all this, Dad. I didn't realize there was so much history and culture behind the food we eat. It makes me appreciate it even more.
I'm glad to hear that, Mia. Food is indeed more than just something we eat. It tells a story, connects us to different cultures, and helps us understand history. Now, how about we plan our Japanese cooking day and try making some of these dishes ourselves?
Yes, please. I'm excited to make some sushi and maybe even some tempura. It'll be fun to try it ourselves.
Sounds like a plan. We'll get all the ingredients we need and have a little taste of Japan right in our kitchen.
Can't wait, Dad. Thanks again for the food history lesson. You always make learning so much fun.
Anytime, Mia. I love sharing these stories with you.